Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session. Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I'm going to be honest here. My technology has just done us a very big disservice. We're in a great podcast. I think we're 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
And we got to some hard truths very early on. So I'm going to start all this again. Let's go for it. I've got a good mate with me from back in the poetry days. We've realigned. We're doing projects together. And I'm very excited for our future because you're wicked. And I'm really excited about this. But welcome aboard, Tyrone Haughton.
Thank you again.
Welcome. Sometimes do you let people under the looking glass or not? I'm not sure. I shouldn't have told them, or should I?
No, I like it. I like the
always let
transparency.
them know.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, dude, we were saying let's start off with the poetry.
Yeah.
Wanted the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go through that story because it was absolutely phenomenal, and I feel there's so many different avenues we can go after that as well.
Yeah.
As the education side of things, this phenomenal lady. Let's go there and see where we get to.
Yeah.
And apologies
No,
one more
fine.
time.
I'll get back into it.
Where did poetry come from for you?
So it was years of family saying, "Oh, we don't write, we don't do this."
Paradigms.
Yeah, paradigms. So as a child, and also I did forget in the last one that we just done.
That's why this happened.
There were no books. This is a vital part of my poetry story as well. I think similar to what we spoke about outside when you said you felt like you found something new or you invented something. There were no books in any house that I ever lived in
Because that was your family story, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
it's like,
we don't write.
so
Why
we
would
don't
we read?
I never seen anyone pick up a book and read.
Ah.
So there was no.
Do you remember it from that early on? Were they all saying we're just not a writing family?
Yeah,
that
it was
isn't...
like my mum would always say it. And then I lived with my mum in Jamaica, and then when I came over to England, when I was on the phone to my mum, she'll still say, "Oh, well, we don't write, so." I don't.
Have you investigated it with them as well, just to go even further in their story? Do you know why they've deemed themselves as non-writers and the whole family line?
I think the
story?
last time we probably had that conversation was in my late teens, and it was just, we just don't do it. I've never seen anyone with a book, like a book for enjoyment, as opposed to like someone might study, and I'm in this textbook, and that's not the same as picking up a piece of literature or like a piece of a narrative or something, So yeah, there was no literature around me. My foster carer did give me, kind of just dumped a box of books on me one day, and it was a collection of the oldest Black Beauty, The Railway Children.
Yeah, okay,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to read that. Not after I've had this two-pack experience. So, yeah, I go into care, and I'm unengaged, disengaged, and
because you didn't get it in this part of the podcast. What age were you going into care?
11.
11.
Yeah. So I went into care. It was summer 2004. I was already lined up to go to a school in Leicester, my secondary school. I was ready to go there. Went into care. Got an emergency place at a new school in Nottingham. Everybody already knew each other. And they also knew where they were as well. That was something I didn't like, how my life felt out of control. I also felt I didn't know where I was. In Leicester, though, I was used to getting the bus. I knew I had my bearings.
You built a structure up.
Yeah.
Yeah, routine.
And as a kid, your world is only as big as your environment that you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of feel comfortable expecting to see the shopping centre here, this here, the cinemas here, and you know where to navigate and how to navigate within these parameters that you know of.
Mm-hmm. And
you absolutely nothing.
Right.
It felt really scary. It felt like being in the water,
thrown into the unknown.
Yeah, but everyone around me is talking about these places: Bulwell, Hucknall, and I'm Bestwood. I'm like, I don't know what is that area. I need to figure that out.
Was life like that growing up as well in a way? Did you always sort of feel this sense of not knowing your place in a way or identity?
Not before I was in care. Before I was in care, I had it's kind of fortunately, unfortunately, I was too young to be getting buses. But from year 3, I was getting 2 buses across the town, across the city, to go to school.
Yeah.
So I knew my way around.
Okay.
Way too early. I knew who I was.
And what about your social groups as well?
Yeah, and I had a very good understanding of identity. Again, fortunately, unfortunately. So the family member that I lived with before I went into care, she would talk to me about like race politics, race politics, society, but in the harshest way. So I'd watch Roots like 2-3 times a week, like religiously, as if like it was training. And that's not what you do to like a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and it's just not what you should be seeing. But it gave,
it's like an indoctrination. In a way. It's like, this is what I want you to think and feel.
And it's like, the world sees you like this, and this is what's going to happen.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like,
fascinating.
Okay.
And you've only just come out of that age. We were talking about paradigms before, where
Exactly.
everything, you said beautifully, everything's just acceptance.
Yeah.
And you're still getting to that age of just figuring it all out and working out your own mind. So having strong voices on top of that really does start to make it malleable and turn that putty into something they want it to be.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So now I've got like conscious thought, and I'm going, I don't know if what you're saying about all these people, when you say they're all evil, when I go to school, I don't feel like those people are evil to me, but you're telling me that they are.
So you're in a cognitive dissonance.
And I'm like, I don't really feel that.
Okay.
But the images that you show, Roots, or all the language used about white people, you know, about the world.
Yeah.
It's like things I don't experience.
I want to make my own mind up of it, really. I want to have a curious mind rather than something that's being told to me.
Exactly. But
interesting.
It was good in a sense that I had an awareness of things. Mm-hmm. But I had the harshest awareness way too early.
Yeah. So you're in sort of fear and protection mode then.
Yeah.
Rather than, I've got my wits about me so I can have my back, but also I've not been given the other side of being told people are also beautiful and they can be on your side and on your team. Look for that. I'm with you, man.
And
okay.
a lot of my family's blended as well, so that was also very confusing.
Wow.
Because I'm like, you don't say this about her.
Yeah.
Well, we love her, and like, she loves me. And we know that, so how do I look at these people with what you're telling me?
Okay, yeah.
Because it was all blanket statements. All white people are evil.
Absolutes.
I'm like, well, my aunt is white. So, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can see how that's a strange story to grow up to, yeah.
Yeah, so it was all about, I'm like, you know, doing like Kung Fu, trying to work out, like, how do we, you know what I mean?
Man, yeah.
How do we figure this, what you're telling me, how do we figure it out? And at this point, her voice, I had a really hard time, a really horrible time. I was abused. So her voice, her word, there was nothing more real and nothing stronger in the world. Like if God came in the room, I was like, I'm God. And she said, no, I'm God. I'd go, yeah, you are. Like, there was
So was she just very narcissistic, this person? Evil.
Is the...
Wow, okay. And you
the
had
word.
that for 0 to 11?
No, from 4 to 11. Because remember, first 4 years, this is where paradigms are interesting again. The first 4 years, I was in Jamaica in my grandmother's house with my mum, my uncle, my aunt, and it was just pure love.
Oh, mate.
So I actually got like a really strong, my paradigm actually has a real strong foundation of love, which set me up for 4 years old onwards. I've got a defense system against all of the...
We're going to get into the poetry where it came from, but there's so much in there. Just like the 0 to 4 filled with love. Yeah. Why were you... I don't know if this is the right word, but snatched away? I don't know what the word is yet.
Away.
What happened there?
Well, it's the idea that England, you know, is the land of dreams. The streets are paved with gold. You'd have a better education, better life. Yeah.
Okay.
What, July?
So you were sent to an evil human at this age. Wow.
In 1997, and then almost day one, I was abused daily for until the age of 11, like almost instantly.
Okay. Wow. Right. So the abuse starts, and this where your sort of identity of I can't comes from as well. Like, we're not writers, we're not this, or was that not to fall?
Well, yeah, and there's no love as well.
No love.
So it's just I used to get really jealous of kids because they would always want to do things with their life. They'd always talk about, I want to be a fireman in the afternoon, and then I'm gonna own a cafe in the evening.
Whoa,
like,
you went to some interesting schools. Yeah,
that's what kids always. Everyone wants to be a footballer.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And I was like,
got ambition and drive.
I just wanted to be alive. That was like,
wow.
When I've thought about it, I was like, I just want to be a man.
Enjoy
one
this
day.
time.
I just want to like grow up one day.
Wow.
There was no ambition outside of survival, which as an adult I now look at and go, what on earth was I thinking? Like, I've got a son, he's 3, and every 2-3 days he wants to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be an inventor, I want to be a poet, I want to be a storyteller, I want to be what do you say? Sometimes it's a builder. So like, it's just anything. And it's like, he's not thinking about his own mortality.
Yeah.
Whereas I was constantly thinking about,
you grew up fast, man.
I just want to be alive.
Wow.
That's all I want to do.
Okay. So, when you're being abused in this household, was it mainly physical, mental, or physical?
No,
or
no,
both?
physical.
Physical.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
No, you can't have physical without mental.
Yeah, of course.
You know
what
I mean? So yeah, it was all physical.
Conglomeration of it all.
Yeah.
Right. And at what point did it stop? How did it stop for you?
When I went into care.
Yes. So,
as a matter of fact,
did you have to raise something?
No,
or was it
I would never.
fat? Yeah.
If I'm telling you, if God himself, herself, itself came in a room and was like, I'll protect you, I wouldn't go.
Right.
It was the level of fear that I felt. I've never felt anything more visceral than that in my life. And I've had kids.
I mean, my heart rate and my breathing's up here at the minute, so I can feel it with you. Yeah. It's like, ouch.
Like
I mean, I can't really picture myself in there. When I was living at home, it was more sort of just wanting to be with people and never feeling enough for that.
Yeah.
Like, they were very busy, and I felt that was a element of abuse. But then I went to a nan, and she just loved me. I got big then. I got Marmite sandwiches and Xbox. It was great, but yeah, to literally go through abuse for such a long time as a young person. I work with so many young people. My heart just hurts.
Yeah.
Okay, so who did find out it was happening and get you away from it?
Wow, that's a good question. A lot of people knew all the time.
Okay.
That's fear. I think that time taught me a lot about fear and what it can do to people. You know, I was somewhere once and someone pulled out a gun and I felt, this is in my adult life, and I felt it was a licensed gun. You just pulled it out to shoot in the air. Because if you have a licensed gun, you have to let off a couple of rounds a year to make sure that the gun's still working. So, but he done it. He pulled it out, and everyone knew him. He's a father. He's the father of like people who are around, and everybody felt. You could feel
the energy.
Like, and I go, oh, that's the first time since being in that house that I felt something like that.
Oh,
it's fear. What it can do to people. It's like it's like pointing a gun at someone.
Yeah.
Like everyone just goes. No one's brave.
Back
anymore.
to our primitive
because you
instincts.
can't.
Yeah, it's just fight and flight again.
We know what fear is, and there's nothing. And fear stops everything, doesn't it? And that, but going back to the paradigms, it's fear that makes you go, oh, I can't do that thing.
Yeah.
It's that,
Yeah.
you know, when you go on stage fright, that's a bit of fear.
Mm.
And we, you know, I think we're taught to run away from it. But I don't know, for me, because of this life that I lived,
We are, yeah.
because I felt crippled
Yeah.
and dehumanized by fear for so long.
Yeah, it's fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I couldn't do anything
Yeah.
because I couldn't leave.
Mhm.
I couldn't fight back.
Mhm.
Freezing, that's the same as, well, the options
Yeah.
kind of ran out at that point. The only way I fought back was standing up again. Every time I got knocked down,
Mhm.
I'd stand up. And in my head, it was, she would have to get tired of beating me
Oh, mate.
before I give up. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was, I can't fight back because she's way too strong for me. I'm a little kid.
Mhm.
But all I can do for I don't know, for something inside of me is just stand back up again.
Endure it.
And now you have to go again. And then you're going to have to get tired. And it stops when you can't do it anymore. Not because I can't take it anymore.
And the 0 to 4 part of your life where you were given love, did they know anything of this then? Was there no way of really finding out and knowing?
No, not for a while.
No, okay.
Not until I was 11.
Wow, okay.
Because, I mean, you know, some people are in Jamaica, some people are here. There's no, at that point, we're talking 2004, there's no Skype, there's no FaceTime, it's just calling cards.
I forget the times
Yeah,
we're living in,
you know
man.
what I
How
mean?
fast
Like,
it's developed.
yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
And I remember
Are you a
those
93
days.
kid?
Yeah.
I'm saying, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
wicked.
So I remember those times like it was yesterday. But when I think back, I'm like, oh, that's 20 years ago. Like, I've got memories of 2004, 2002. And I just think, oh, yeah, that wasn't... And I
Yeah.
go, oh, that's 20 years. Look at everything has changed in 20 years.
Nice. Yeah, somebody gave me a moment of reflection the other day. They were like, 1600s or something.
Yeah.
They were just saying, what's the oldest person now? And I went, well, 100 years old, maybe 120. Like, think of 5 people ago. That's only 5 evolutions of mine.
Yeah.
That was like the 1600. I was like, 5 people. So 5 oldest persons ago. And we were, how barbaric and wild. And yeah, that was a moment of me sitting there going, oh my God. And when we talk about how we're evolving now and AI and where we're moving to, that's a different conversation. But it's fascinating to think of us as 5 people old from, yeah,
that's interesting.
Something
we're
hundreds.
not that old.
we're all right. So when everyone starts panicking and being like, this social media thing, we'll work stuff out. We
Yeah.
always do. We prevail.
Well, we have
Fingers
to.
crossed.
All we want to do is survive, isn't it?
100%. Or we'll get reset through asteroids. But let's.
Maybe. But yeah.
So fear is
fear is
life
very real.
for you.
Yeah. And then it was actually, I went to school one day, and I got to school, and me and my friend got in trouble and got sent to the head teacher's office. He started it. He was like name calling or whatever. But then he was allowed to go, and I wasn't. And I was there all day. And then head teacher came in, let me know that there was a raid at the house. I can't go home. Then Interpol are on the phone. It's my mum from Jamaica,
Mate.
and now obviously I wasn't here legally as well. So my story was my mum's dead, and the death certificate was printed. And I was like, to my head teacher, I was like, no, my mum's dead. And she gave me the phone, and I'm like, no, this is not my mum. My mum's talking, and then I start crying. It's the first time I've ever been like, and I'm like, no, this is not my mum. And my head teacher was like, I'm just gonna leave the room, because she's like, I know you know your script, but I'll just leave and let you talk.
Wow.
And then so some social workers came after, and they were like, yeah, we know you spoke to your mum. I was like, wasn't my mum. I went back to it because
You just stayed in that mode.
no matter what, although I've heard she's going to prison now, I couldn't believe it, because if I done anything wrong, anything that she didn't like, the punishments were so strong. So I was like, I can't even go against you now. You know, like, it's the you You seen that?
I've not been this stunned on a podcast for a long time. Yeah, this is a story, dude.
You know that glass, the glass ceiling experiment that they do with flies.
With fleas.
Yeah, and then they move it.
Yeah, and then they just stay to that
That
level.
was it.
Yeah, completely get.
It was
Okay.
like, even though you're telling me
Yeah.
it's all gonna be all right.
Do the same with elephants. They put a chain on them for the first 10 years of that, no, 5 or something, and then they'll just remove it. But eventually they've realised that's your parameters. That's where you're staying. Yeah, I think they do that in Thailand. But sad.
Right, so you said
It's
that's
really
a long
sad.
time to put a chain on something. But yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's it.
what's your mum saying on the phone to you at this point?
She said that I'm gonna be okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I won't be going back to that house.
What was the raid? What had they been tipped off for?
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it was for
Substance?
other dealings going on.
I get ya.
So yeah, and then within 3 days, no, 2 days, I'm in a new house in Nottingham.
Mate, okay.
That quick.
Okay.
And I'm like, what?
Are you just in pilot mode now? Are you sort of just accepting anything anyone's saying to you, like the police? You're nodding your head.
Yeah, I'm waiting for an opening. I'm waiting to because I'm waiting to go home, because the social workers that dropped me off said you'll only be here for a few days, and then I was there for 3 days, and then they came. I seen them out the window because I just waited until they came back, and I was like, oh, here they are. Thanks, guys. I'll be off. And they opened the boot. It was black bags of clothes, and I could see some of my own clothes in there. And I was like, that's not. And they brought my PS2. I was like, if I can go a few days without the PS2. This is a lot of clothes. Like, oh no, it'll be a few days. And I was like, you're lying to me. And then they left.
Why were they lying though?
Well, they I don't know if the practice has changed now. I think it has, but they used to be, I don't know if they thought it would be too devastating.
I hear ya.
So it's it'll only be a few days, and
Okay.
then the next time it'll only be a few days again, until the child might understand that the life is better here.
With your conscious mind, do you think that's the right practice, or is lying ever right? What's your sort of philosophy on that in that situation?
No, I think you give people the truth.
Truth.
Yeah, I think it's always best knowing the truth and being hurt, as opposed to finding out the truth and then being hurt. Because then, let's say you know what the truth is here today, it makes you sick, but this is the truth. That's your reality now.
Foundation set.
But if you've been sold a false reality, you go on 7 months down the line, and then you realize it's a lie. You then have to question every single day and every conversation that you've had all the way back, which is not fair, because you go mad.
Yeah.
When
and everything in the future, there's going to be complications.
Yeah,
for
I think you just tell people.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
I've been lied to in this way before, and they thought they were doing it for my best interest.
Yeah.
So maybe they're doing that again. I just want to know where I stand.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I've lived that life, because I try and really shave everything off what people are saying, get rid of that fact, because I want to know where we're at. And people in my past have tried and sort of manipulate a little bit to give me that softer version.
Yeah.
And it's definitely come out into who I am now. And no, where are we at? What do I want to know? Just give me the absolute, and we'll run with it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, which can be a bit too hard sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
with,
I know.
especially with my kids and so on.
Yeah, I've had to learn.
Yeah,
I've had to learn with that.
a way of still telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the truth is the constant.
Yeah.
Of that. Okay, so wow.
But yeah, poetry came along not too long after that.
Mate, well, we're getting close to it. But I feel the audience are probably enjoying it the way. That's not the right word, but as gripped as I am. So then you had this conversation. You're here illegally, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you get citizenship there? How do you get to stay? Because I want to get to the poetry really bad, but I feel that would miss a thing there.
Okay. So that's 2004. So I didn't have a passport. Everyone knows my mum's alive now. So they're going, yeah. you're going to go home. They were going to deport me. This is after like a couple years in care, but it'd been a conversation whilst in care for a while now that I might get deported. And I wasn't chuffed about that idea because I don't know that life anymore. I've been, and always felt like it wouldn't be crap that I came to England, got abused, in care for a bit, and then just sent back home. It's just a bit.
Yeah.
What was
redundant.
what was the point? Of
Yeah.
that? Now
Especially going for the abuse as well. Yeah.
I have to go there and just deal with all of that. All of that. It would feel really.
Completely understood. That makes total sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Because my first thought was, I wonder if you were excited about that because you had shown love there. But then, what is that all that abuse for? To just be back to square one? Yeah, that's total sense.
So
okay,
I had a guardian who is like a children's social worker, so he kind of advocates for me, and so my mum and my dad don't like each other, and my mum was saying I should come home. She sent a letter saying I should come home. My dad was saying, absolutely not. It's horrible. He'll die. Like, he made it absolutely hell. Do not bring him back here. So the Guardian said, I have to go and see for myself because these two are at odds and they're saying contradicting things.
Huh.
So he goes to fly. As he's on his way, Hurricane Ivan, this is 2007, my mum had like started renting out this house on the corner. Hurricane Ivan came down the main road. The only house it hit on that road was the one that my mum had rented and prepared for me. So my guardian goes to find my mum outside. As he gets to the road, devastated, he's like, well, yeah, this is a done deal. You obviously can't, you don't have anything suitable for him to come to. Unfortunately, because the hurricane just knocked the house down. So
wow,
and that's the only reason why I got
literally
I could stay
one
here.
house.
That's literally the only reason why I could stay here.
And how close were you to being the day of the flight? Did you just?
Yeah.
That's
so he actually
no.
His flight was he went.
Okay.
And as I don't know if he's in the air as the hurricane quickly went through. But they didn't cancel the flight, which tells me that it happened mid-air.
Okay, that's the story. Yeah.
The morning after, he obviously stayed in a hotel. Morning after, he went and seen her. I was like, well, yeah, that's...
And that's why you're here to this day?
And that's why.
Wow,
that's
okay.
Literally, and then after that, within a few weeks, I got my indefinite leave to remain. And yeah, citizenship came, I don't know, like a year or two after that. No, I was 16 when citizenship came, but I had my indefinite leave to remain. Then at 16, what are the
hurdles and protocols to attaining it? Is it?
Well, you have to.
Back then.
Well, as far as I knew, that they had to like make a case to the Home Office of why this child can't go back, and it was like, well, at this point, there's no home for him because there's a hurricane that's televised globally. Like you know it's happened, and there's word that someone from the local authorities actually took the trip to Jamaica to look at it for themselves, and they've deemed it unsuitable for a kid. So, and then it's like, and as we're tracking on in years, the longer he's here is the longer he's not there. He doesn't know that life and that world and that culture as much anymore. So
wow,
yeah, and then things just kind of fell into place after that.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
So this vile human who's abused you for so long gets arrested.
Yep.
Went away. Mm-hmm. You're in care in Nottingham.
Yeah.
So yeah, your whole world is. Do you have an identity crisis at this point? Are you just going what? Because you seem very introspective, very philosophical in mind, a thinker, curious about what the world is. So. Yeah, what is your headset at this point like?
No identity crisis. I was just waiting for it to all be over, because I still hadn't given up on my idea of going back home to Leicester.
Right. And did you have any purposes? I know you're a young person, but and you discover poetry later on, which we're gonna get to. But was there anything driving you still? Was there anything that giving you elements of hope in your life?
At what age?
So when you've got taken away and into care and so on, was there a sense of, oh, I can pursue this, or I've got something here?
No, but this is what I said. You know how kids want to be different things.
Yeah, you were just, I want to live.
And then it was it was maybe 2-3 months of being in care. Instantly, I wanted to do things. Obviously, I wasn't getting beat up anymore. It was all calm, and my imagination, came alive. And I wanted to be a basketballer, and I was like, "What, me? That's weird. I've never wanted to do anything."
It's funny, isn't it, when the brain's just in protection mode and you sort of just cocoon, but then very quickly it can adapt itself and relearn and go, oh yeah, this is how the brain likes to be, and it's sparked with imagination and curious.
You can't create if you're not safe, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just, I feel safe now.
Fascinating.
There's no danger. And then all of a sudden, I want to be a basketballer. Oh, actually, I might want to be a radio presenter. I might want to do this.
So who are you living with then in care?
I'm living with my foster carer in care.
And the poetry, it's so funny. It keeps getting pushed back a little bit, but it has to slightly. Relationship, okay? Like good people,
It felt like business.
Oh, wow, like a transaction.
Yeah, it felt like it was just, it is what it is. And I knew that if I made a big noise, if I kicked up and made a fuss, if I misbehaved, they'll move me somewhere else. And my thinking was, Nottingham is not far from Leicester. This is safe. I'll just be patient. I mean, I've been patient in the past 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, I can, this is nothing for me. It felt like it was just like, well, this is just a bit annoying, but let's not, get emotional about it.
It's true, isn't it? A lot of people that go through such adversity and pain in their life do fall to this word victim. So they just sort of collate all these negative traits that experience has given them. But one thing you're saying, well, I grew patience out of it. What else can you think of that you took from that experience? Because you don't feel or sound like a victim. You sound like somebody that's taken all that and in that moment sprung forward with it in a way.
Yeah, well...
Not to say there wasn't negative traits
but
still,
it's definitely patience.
Yeah.
Resilience,
I'm guessing.
Resilience, but I really hate that word.
Okay, go on.
I really, really hate that word because I think the definition of resilience is like something that can withstand like severe conditions and always come back. I don't think that's fair for humans. I think that's fair for like tires. And hiking boots and like, you know what I mean? Like
I'll get you.
Power tools should be resilient. As a human, I'm allowed to break and not be the same when I mend because I experience things. So I toil with resilience because people do that with me a lot. I go, oh, you're so resilient. I go, I'm not, because there's always going to be an effect. You know, even if I don't feel it and I don't see it, it might happen tomorrow. So I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's a crazy effect.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you heard of the Japanese kintsugi?
No.
It's an art form that they've got where they'll have like a broken pot, and what they do is fill all the cracks with gold. And the fact that the pain and the suffering and everything actually makes you more beautiful from the aftermath, and that's why it's gold.
I didn't know the word, but I've seen that before.
It's cool.
Really
I like that idea. But again, it's not quite resilience, and then you get built back up the same way.
You're always going to be different.
You're built, but there's gold and it's different around it.
And you actually could be stronger.
Because
you're solid gold now.
100%.
Definitely stronger, but you've been through something. I like that. That's kintsugi, not resilient. Kintsugi. I like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, so now this is probably closer to the poetry, right?
Yeah.
Which is only 45 minutes of getting to that answer that question. But you're in this care home, and it feels like a transaction, really. and it's just business.
Yeah, it's a job.
You're then in school, and both our hearts align here with education and helping the young people. In the previous podcast, which was 5 or 10 minutes long, you spoke about this wonderful mentor and person in your life.
Yeah.
Can you go to that part?
Yeah. Yeah, because she was a good teacher, and the bad ones stick out more than anyone. I struggle with her name, but I'm betting it's Miss Brothwell. She was really young, and she could tell I wasn't engaging at all. So she told me that whilst in her lessons, I can read Tupac's "The Rose That Grew from Concrete," and it was a book from a personal connection from home. And I was like, "What? Crazy!" So,
And in the last bit of podcast, that's where I got emotional because, like,
Yeah.
wow, the
yeah,
moment.
she was like, "Yeah, you can.
I love it. I
You
love
do
it.
this," and it kept me occupied in the lessons.
Huh.
And I was like, I really got into the book, so I took it home.
And you were saying it's scribbles on one
Yeah.
side and the print on the other, which
So
is
it's the scan of the original.
It's just so much more real,
yeah,
isn't it?
all of his mistakes, all of his like incorrect spellings. So I traced it in my like Bart Simpson notepad and learned how to write like Tupac.
Whoa, yeah.
And I traced out all of my favorites, and I would cry. It was the first time that was so important for me because it was the first time I'd ever read a book outside of like Book and Chip, you know. But it was the first time I'd read a book. It's the first time I'd read poetry. But it's the first time I've seen words. The first time I've felt words as a poet, and there were no rules. I didn't see any. There was no punctuation.
No.
There was absolutely. When he wrote 2, it was the number 2. When he wrote C with his eyes, it was the letter C. I thought, oh, that's how I text. I like that because I understand it.
Yeah.
So, and I really felt the words.
That's beautiful.
So that's when I first got interested in words, and I say that book planted a seed in me. So the rose that grew from concrete planted the seed in me. That's how I view it, because I didn't start going writing poetry after that. I just kind of just locked it all away.
You knew it was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in year 10, first time in my life, I had an idea. Like the very first time in my life, I was like, huh? What's that? And it was a poem. And I was like,
what brought it forward? What was the stimulus?
So year 10, you've got your same age, so you've got the anthology. Simon Armitage, John Agard is in that. Imtiaz Darker, I think. Presents from my aunt in Pakistan. Remember these poems in that one?
My education story is different.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we'll do it on a different one. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't have those references as much.
Sorry. So yeah, so that's what we had in year 10, English Lit. And a bad teacher now, me and her would butt heads all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is, what's the poet's voice? What's the poet saying? We need to annotate these poems and analyze them. And I'll go, I think the poet is saying this. No, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I can't be wrong because you're asking me what I think someone...
I am in the question.
Yeah. What I think about what someone who's not in this room means when they write their own words.
And if I can validate my explanation, it's valid.
Yeah. And I go, well, no, I think culturally, because like Presents of My Aunt in Pakistan, I remember that vividly. And I remember saying, because it was about someone getting gifts from back home. And I was like, well, we do that culturally as well. So what I think this means, no, you're wrong. How can you tell me? Because you don't have that experience. I've got a similar experience to this very poem right here.
Which makes poetry so beautiful. Because everybody in that room, them 30 kids, can all relate back to their experiences and put it to the poem.
Exactly.
But that one person's like, I've figured it out.
Yeah.
This is my ego going, no, this is what it is. And you've got to say that in the test.
Exactly.
What?
So we are...
Now I don't like English.
No, so And it was the first time as well. And what really annoyed me about that was, you've got a kid who historically doesn't write, never has. Now it's year 10, and it's the first time I'm actually interested. Forget writing, I'm interested, and I'm putting my hand up, and I want to talk, and I'm actually reading all the poems, and I've got opinions about them.
So it was the conflict that brought it to the curiosity.
Yeah.
Then? Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
because
because-
usually it's a bit of a moment of somebody tells them they go, oh,
No,
that's cool.
no,
That's a
this-
different energy.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's a bit attributed to, you've had fear in your
This
life
is me.
and
Yeah,
frictions.
that's it. Anytime you say I can't,
Ah,
Or
cool.
anytime
It's
you
the
put a
same,
book-
the energy that's propelled you forward, though.
I have to.
You've took it. Because
Because-
people can do that with love, and it's it's better if it is.
Yeah.
That's what I try and give my kids.
Yeah.
But the fact you've had that adversity and you've propelled that's fascinating.
I need to.
But you're not being resilient.
But if people, for me, what I found is, if I feel inadequate, or if I ever feel
I relate
like
to this.
helpless,
This is
I can't. I zone in, and I have to go through it.
yeah.
I can't.
That's where we meet.
Yeah.
That's something. Another story, but yeah, definitely. I love that. That really resonates strong.
Yeah, like
Oh,
not like being a bloke and testosterone and take on any challenge, but if anything makes me feel, if I walk away, if I think about things and I go, if I walk away and I feel a bit less of myself,
yeah.
it's gonna hurt me.
I think mine might be bullying or something.
Yeah,
Just being
yeah.
insignificant
Yeah,
and being made to feel so
it's
little.
the same thing.
It's been like, oh, actually, I can because I did here, and I want to prove it in all aspects and
Yeah.
areas of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. Okay, wicked. I love that. That actually gave me a good feeling. I know something's going well when it did that to me. So the idea then was to write because you had
Yeah.
the seed in you. So what was the first piece about then? Where were you at that point?
Yeah, so she would always, and she would write my reports and say, Tyrone needs to try harder. He needs to apply himself. I'm applying myself, and you're telling me I'm wrong for my thoughts. So one day, I was hoovering the stairs on a Saturday. It was April, I remember that. And then, bang, a poem out of nowhere. I had just words in my head. And it was called, interesting actually, it was called The Biology of Water. And I spoke about hurricanes.
Yeah.
I actually because they've all got names: Katrina, Gustav, Ivan, and I was like, so water can like heal you, but too much will kill you.
Huh.
And if water gets angry, then it will like blow your whole world apart. Wow. And I was like, there's some.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wrote this poem. Spent all Saturday and Sunday practicing, saying it out loud. I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I went to school on Monday. I got to my lesson early. Never happened before. Got to my lesson early. Miss Thompson, listen. So you know how and I remember the words, you know how we always talk about these poets and the voice and blah, blah, blah. She said, yeah. I go, okay, so we always disagree. And you tell me I'm wrong about the poet's voice. I said, but I've written my own poem. So can I read my poem to the class? And now that we have a writer in the room, because finally we've never had one of the people who wrote the poem in the room, but now we've got a writer in the room.
Not a mythical figure anymore. Yeah.
We can see how different people think different things. And she was like, "No, we don't do that. Just go and sit down."
Oh my god.
And I
Oh
was
my
like,
god.
So I engaged again. I just disengaged again. I was like, I'm done.
Ouch. That's education. Not all. Some amazing teachers out there, and we work with them. But this really does show what sort of seed it can take to make somebody's existence and help them curate that life into poetry, into whatever the passion is, into them, or
It was
the
really
other.
short. All you had to do was indulge me for a minute.
Yeah, water them seeds or completely
And
just.
if not, say, just wait until after the lesson. We can do it. Just give me. You've got someone wide-eyed
thirsty
and wants to take part. Not just read. I want to create what you're teaching me. I've been so inspired. I want to create my own. You go, no. So I just completely disengaged. But I liked writing. So,
Did you sort of hide it away a little bit then?
Yep.
You just, because I again resonated with that feeling. I know it. So I'm guessing you can't bottle that back up.
No.
That's a feeling where you go, I want to relive that. I got to find that for myself. Nobody showed it me, but I got it.
Yeah.
So then you went and pursued that for a bit. And how did that manifest?
Well, I carried on writing for 5 years. So that happened at 15, and no one knew that I'd done it until 20. And I actually thrown every single thing I wrote. I thrown it away my first 5 years. So I actually never completed anything until the age of 20. February 3rd, it was 2013. It was the first time I completed a poem. And first poem I ever read was in 2004. First poem I ever wrote was 2015. First poem I completed was 2015. First poem I ever completed was 2007. At 15 years old. First poem I ever completed properly since that time was 2013.
And then we're getting close to Jam Cafe.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's that day, Feb 3rd, 2013, is why my whole life is like this, because
man.
And when I say that Miss Brothwell, if you're listening, that she,
if that is your real name,
if that's your name, if you gave a kid, if you gave like a disengaged kid a book, and you worked,
there's so many teachers now going, that was me.
It was probably me. So that planted a seed.
Yeah.
I tried to get it out with this teacher. She watered it with
seed.
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And it kept coming back.
Incredible.
And I kept it in. I didn't tell anyone. And then it was Sunday, Feb 3rd, 2013. Me and my friend were watching the Super Bowl. And I was like, I finished a poem. I was like, I didn't call them poems though. I was like, I finished this thing. Like, I don't know, but it's like, there's no music, but yeah, it's this thing. And he was like, oh, that's good. And I was like, yeah, thanks. Like, yeah, cool. And then I was like, because I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing at uni. At that point, I was studying law. But I actually went to uni to study radio production. And then the course was so boring. So,
mate, you're an amalgamation of me and my sister. She's a human rights solicitor in
London.
Oh,
cool.
I'm that more creative type, but your whole story is just like
cool.
me and her in a nutshell.
Oh, nice. I might be the middle child.
Yeah.
So
Super Bowl time. You're at the Super Bowl. You finish this thing.
Yeah, finish it, and I'm like, I know I only chose law because I wanted a course that might make mums go, ooh. So I thought, what's something that's going to be up? And the biggest reason is I was a care leaver and I had no family. So the local authority were paying for my tuition and accommodation as long as I stay in education. But I didn't want to because the course was boring. So I just picked another course to start my 3 years over again. So I have somewhere to live. That was the truth of why I was at uni. So I'm just doing this to survive again.
It's like the Van Wilder story, if you ever watched that film.
It wasn't that glamorous though. It wasn't like that at all. So yeah, I was just like staying there to have a roof. And I thought, whilst I'm studying law, I'll be able to work out what I want to do with my life. And Feb 3rd, 2013, I finished this poem. And I looked at my friend and I was like, I'm going to be one of two things in life. So I'm going to be a stand-up comic or I'm going to be a poet. And he was like, you should do poetry. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do poetry. Yeah. And then...
we all need a mate like that.
He was like, you should do poetry.
It's a great answer.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do poetry. And that was it.
What was the stand-up comedy though from? Were you just inspired by
I love
people?
stand-up comedy.
Yeah, watched a lot of it.
Yeah, I
Americans
used to
or
yep. Yeah, Americans,
all over?
English. But I used to
Sitcoms?
listen. Yeah, sitcoms. Also, I used to listen to it. I used to download comedy specials and listen to it like on my little like.
Yeah, I wonder what
iPod.
it would have been back then. Yeah,
I had like a little Sony MP3 player thing. I used to listen to like Chris Rock all the time.
Ah, cool.
And what I I didn't know, and I think this seed was being watered by storytelling.
It's wild, isn't it? It's still words, though.
Yeah, still
You know,
words.
you'd had your story, you'd had your paradigms given to you. We're not writers, but there's just this thirst inside all the way.
Law, it's all about words.
Yeah.
So I'm listening, music. All I would do with music is just listen to the words. So I'm just taking in words all the time, and I really love the way. I love how comedians do storytelling.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any.
No.
That's the peak for me. I go that when I look at. There's nothing in my life that I'm scared of anymore, because for me, I feel like I've conquered my fears and if I feel fear, I'll just jump into it.
Mm-hmm.
But comedy is like to even put yourself out there and try. It feels like it makes me cold. So I'm gonna have to try it.
Are you gonna do it one time?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Oh man,
I'm putting it together.
Yeah, it's because again, you're in front of an audience, and with poetry, I've been in situations, I'm sure you have too, where you've got someone in the crowd and they're just looking miserable at you, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, why am I ruining this person's day?" And then at the end, they come over to you and go, "That was insane. That was so. I needed that. Thank you." And you're like, "Mate, I thought you hated me." But with comedy, it's reaction.
Yeah, that is it.
Joke, reaction, joke, reaction. If you're not getting anything back, you know straight
exactly what's happening.
where you stand. And so
that's scary.
It's a different experience, isn't it? It's more honest and revealing in the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've done a few. The worst gig I ever did. I don't really perform in that way anymore. I do schools and everything still, but not gigging and festivaling. And I did one in Leeds, and it was more like a rave. But it was cool. It was like a festival-y type thing done in a big industrial building. So there were loads of different rooms, and the room that they give poets and comedians together, and it was a wicked room, really small, but literally it was just so polar to one another, and they were quite hippie, I'm guessing, a lot of these people in this room. And you had one guy came on and he started doing pretty horrible like animal jokes about like harming animals and stuff.
That's a weird angle.
And it was an odd angle, and this crowd just turned on him, and I was next. But luckily, I could only go. I remember he probably did 2 minutes and went. I think he looked down at his set and went, "I'm out."
Yeah.
And then they called me up very quickly to try and change the energy, and honestly, I just had to sort of go straight in and get some fast stuff out, and we're all together, we're all one. You've got this, and they're like, "Okay, I'm back," but. It wasn't fun. I didn't. And again, when you've got with poetry somebody quite revealing, and then them telling their truths here, and then this comedian coming straight on, I saw where the organizer was coming from and where they were going with it, but it just did not work. It was an odd room.
Yeah,
people filtered out quite quickly in the end. Yeah,
I think though that right there, I think good comedy is where you're revealing yourself.
Yeah, I would agree.
Good poetry is when you're revealing yourself.
PC on a piece of paper.
Yeah, so that there has to be a space, and I'm developing something. I've decided I'm going to do it.
Ooh, just on this podcast, like filming.
Yeah,
just before you started.
It's going to be poetry and comedy in one show. But the comedy's spurred from the poems.
Yeah.
And the poems, in my head, that are not funny.
Yes.
The juxtaposition plays with the audience, doesn't it?
And that's the point of comedy as well. Yeah. Those things that aren't funny and we have as taboos or whatever we have, it's there to lighten it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I think there's a really interesting discussion, isn't it? Like comedy's always got to punch up and so on. I'm nuanced in that, but I've seen great comics take really death and so on, like really painful things, and make it hilarious, and it's like breathing space again. So I'm with you all the way there.
Yeah, because interesting. I think in life everything happens all at once. Pain and joy, you know, in a day you've got the sun and the moon all in one day. You've got rain, you've got the sunshine. You can stub your toe, get hurt. Something cute happens,
and it's a simultaneous, isn't it?
So it's all happening.
You stub your toe and it's a funny incident, but it really hurt you.
Exactly. It's all happening all at once. So there has to be a way where we
It's the art of perception.
Yeah, so I want to.
It's beautiful.
It's ticking. I'm trying to work out how I'll do it.
So, yeah, no, the more time we've sat together, the more time I can reflect to when we met. And yeah, it's keeps switching in and out. I'm like, oh, you are just a lovely fella. I remember meeting you and being like, you're wicked. And I remember it then and I remember it now. So you're pursuing poetry. You're enjoying the thirst for writing, the purpose of having a passion, pursuing that. Where'd you start going into schools and teaching it and so on as well? Because it's amazing doing it and being the thing that people see, but eventually that passing it on as well. It's another feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, that took some years. I didn't do my first. I'm trying to think what my first school.
Because that's why you're here today.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying
educating them user Ripley. So
I'm trying to think what my first school one was. I was doing. It would have been 2014. I had some workshops going on
in Nottingham or
no in Leicester.
Cool.
Yeah, in Leicester now. In libraries. I'm remembering because I'm remembering pictures of me in the library of some 9-year-olds.
Really, primary school.
Yeah, performing to them, and then we'll do some writing stuff. But doing it properly. It would have been 2017 when I really started workshopping a lot more. Partially because I became quite I fell out of love with trying to be a poet for a while because it's the amount of times I've quit, about 20 odd times. But I fell out of love with it, and I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm never getting anywhere with it, but it just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
I'll try. I'm not writing anymore. That's it. Then 2 weeks will go by. Actually, that's it.
There's a premise here.
So I'm constantly doing it. So it was 2017. I remember I ended up at being asked to go to a youth club for a couple of weeks doing this project, some poetry stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, cool.
Sick.
Kids wrote some great poetry. They performed for the first time ever, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And my thinking before was, if I workshop and I teach people what I think about performing and writing, then I'm going to lose it. And someone's going to take it.
Yeah, wow.
But
it's actually so much energy in this.
Yeah, that's what I used to think.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But now I'm no. The more
Feeds
you give,
the fire.
Yeah, the more I get, and I get so
that's
much.
My saying.
Yeah, I get so much from seeing young people express themselves.
Have them moments you had.
Yeah.
When you were, what were you doing?
Hoovering. Yeah.
Hoovering. Yeah.
You see the ideas.
Yeah.
When you're talking when I'm talking to young people and they're going, yeah, when I perform, I think I might do this, or actually no, I'm gonna, and I'm like, yeah. And they go, oh, do you think it's silly? No, it's not.
Run.
Anything, you go with it, and we'll see what it is.
Amazing.
We can do it over and over and over again until you're.
Was there a slight hesitancy to some degree because you'd been shown how not to do it, and was there any fear that you might give people that moment as well too? You might put them off of their thing.
No, because I know what that felt like.
Okay,
so for me,
you knew, yeah.
I encourage everything. As long as it's not hateful or you're trying to hurt someone or whatever.
And did you have quite straight up workshop plan ideas with you, or because for me, same. It was I know how to write it. I just do it because I love it, and it spills onto the page.
Yeah.
But then teaching it's a completely different idea. So was your idea to just sit there and see what happens?
Yeah, and that's I wouldn't plan. I wouldn't.
Cool.
I would never plan. I'll just go in and go. I'll just figure it out because we're just talking about poetry.
I wish teachers had that flexibility and allowance. It's called. My friend's got a book called the Lazy Teacher. It sounds amazing. It sounds wrong, doesn't it, in a way? But actually, just the less he does, the better experience they get out of it. Because he wants to know where they're at, and they've got to be curious and figure stuff out, and just give a stimulus that they're hooked on, and let them go.
That's it.
Ooh, yeah, cool.
But I didn't have
that's what
that.
Polar Bear does well, to be honest. I've seen that in
really
action.
Good. But that's not I didn't have that philosophy when I was not planning. I was just like, I don't really know how to plan. I'll just do it.
Me fluffing it out.
I was like, that's
I
not...
bet your mind was here.
It was like, I don't know.
No, Mikey, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, I just had no idea. So I was like, go in and
Wicked,
go
man.
with the flow. And then...
But not many people would do that. So there's something inside of you that's daring to do that.
Yeah, and I've done that, honestly, for years. I started planning, I'll be honest, I started planning workshops in 2022.
I thought you were going to say for this one.
2022.
Wicked.
When I started planning workshops, I was like, okay, I'll sit down and I'll like make a plan.
Have you got any anecdotal moments in your teaching career where it affirmed and sort of told you, this is the boy, this is the one, this is the moment I want to?
Yeah, I've got quite a few. I'm trying to there's this. So running the organization.
I knew we'd get there.
Yeah, Literati. So we primarily work with children in care and people with care experience.
How can people find? Say it again.
Literati Arts. So Literati Arts.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be.
It'll be pinged into the description and all that stuff as well. But yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, we so it's all poetry work, and we've got this very special project for children in care called Sticks and Stones, and we spend a week together writing, performing, just all things poetry. And I'm not a big crier. Like I went to a place where I realized a couple of years ago, when I cry, tears get to like here, in behind my eyelid, just get here, and I go, oh, I'm crying, and then it just goes away. Like tears wouldn't come out. It was like, oh, I'm crying. Wow. That's it. Yeah. So I would look like this while I was crying. And then, August last year, I cried. We had it was a week, middle of August. We had them for a week. And I must have cried about 4 or 5 times. They just kept saying things and doing things. And I'm like, how are you so amazing? Like, how do you even... How do you not know that you've got that in you? You know, like this is the first time this girl, oh my gosh, she's got some additional needs as well. The like her care workers say that, you know, she doesn't speak much, and this goes for quite a few of them. And then they get there, and they're writing like streams of poems, like 10 poems in a week, and just performing like beautifully. There's one girl in particular though, wrote something, and going around in a circle and like checking in one day, and she go, I wrote something. I go, okay, cool, we'll get onto that later. No, I want to perform it. Like, okay, I'll let you do it. So I'm like, okay, right here, yeah, let's go. And her voice, it's like there was a choir behind her, saying it at the same time. Yeah. I was like, where's that even coming from? Everyone's looking around like, what? And she just holds it so much power and conviction, every single word. And she's reading, and then she like puts the paper down, and she's going off her head.
Oh my god!
And I'm like,
mate,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh. No, goosebumps. Oh my word. Like,
stunning.
yeah, it's just like...
And you allowed it to have that moment that your teacher wouldn't allow you.
Yeah.
You could have had a choir.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm just like...
Wow.
Like, look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Forget my opinion. I always tell kids, who am I? Forget my opinion. How does it make you feel doing what you've just done? Look at what you've just written. I think it's good, but so what? What do you think about it? Because that's what's going to drive you. You know what I mean? If the whole world thinks you're not good, but you do, having that level of delusion, if you want to call it that, will drive you to be great. You know? So for me, I want the truth.
Yeah.
I want to give people the truth. I don't want pats on my back. I don't want to be complimented. I don't really care. Just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to give to young people. I go, I think you're good. And I think you could do this as a job if you wanted to. Like, I think you've got that potential. If you want to do it, that's on you. But you've heard it now, and your brain can never unhear that. You know that you've got that potential. Someone who does it for a living has told you that. You do with it what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's no point
in your court now.
Yeah, there's no point, you know, doing too much, I think, in my opinion. Like,
that was beautiful. As you were saying all that, I literally felt it was coming to little mini Mikey then,
Yeah.
and I was going like a big come up with it, like, I can do anything.
Yeah. Like,
I love this quote. I think it's Bruce Lee, but it says, "If you know the way broadly, you can see it in everything." So I've loved that because I felt it in poetry.
yeah.
But it's like the feeling that we've been expressing and talking about. But now I found it in other art forms. So I found it in video work and doing the music side of things and everything like that. And I think it's just seeing somebody love something so much. It's not go away and be a poet today, but it's go away and find that feeling. That's what we want them to go and pursue in any which way, and let that be the driver.
Yeah, I always ask, how did it make you feel?
Yeah.
When I go, oh, I loved it. I felt like my blood was like, no, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you know it. It's the best drug in the world. Now you know it, but I can't give it to you. You can't give someone that feeling. That's something that they spark themselves. So once you know it, that's all I care about. I go, oh, great, we've had a successful week because these people have felt that. Yeah. That level of being alive.
That's stunning. That is stunning.
And I always tell them as well, and I think it's my own experience of the seed being planted. I go, just so you know, guys, I'm not on a campaign to make anyone be a poet.
No.
I don't want every young person I speak to become a poet one day because other jobs exist, you know, and other things.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to sell you something. What I'm doing is I want to give you the tool of expression and creativity that I know has helped me so many times in my life, and I've been able to forge my own path in life because someone gave me that tool.
Yes.
And that's it.
Stunning.
That is, honestly, that's it. And you can, and I always tell them, if you don't get it and you don't like it, you also don't even have to write anything for the whole week. I'm not a teacher. I'm not marking. I'm not going to call your parents and say you're not taking part. If you're not writing anything, absolutely fine. I'm still going to deliver what I'm delivering. But it might spark tomorrow. And if not, it might spark next year. And if not, it might spark in a few years. And then if not, in 15 years, when, you know, you're a bit stressed, whatever, and you might remember that guy who was talking about poetry for a week, and you go, oh, you said that poetry is a tool for self-expression. I might just get like a pen and paper out, and I might just write something down.
And again, most kids they won't remember the lesson, but they remember the feeling that you give them in that lesson. I like that. What is learned and what is taught are two separate things, and I think a lot of teachers want to validate themselves sometimes because they're like writing it down for them in essence, like just to see, oh, there's stuff on the page, I did a good job, But if you brought a great energy across in that session and just give them a little bit of respite from the shit that they're dealing with or whatever it is, that's a great teacher in my eyes.
Exactly. You know, in schools, I've really struggled working in schools because I get an hour. The teacher's always late to get me from reception. Yeah. And then I go in. Then
dance monkey.
Yeah, and it's like, okay,
be the clown for the.
You've got 35 minutes. Let's get them to write. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It's not fair on me.
No.
It's really not fair on the kids. Because now they have to look at the pressure. So my thing is, I take away all pressure. So I went on a break of refusing all schoolwork, and I was like, I'm never working in a school again.
Okay.
Because teachers, they give me that feeling that my teacher gave me.
That's what I say. They want validate what's been produced.
Yeah.
And it's gone, I don't know, like maybe when they've walked away thinking, actually, Miss was in a great spirit today. Exactly. And I didn't put anything on the paper, but I have remembered a lot of things outside of it. So I think it's a shame. They're bogged down by so much. Yeah. But have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done that? So they're out there sharp looking for it. and it's not fair on them, is it?
Yeah.
They genuinely feel if there's been conversations and just loads of noise in the room,
that nothing's happening.
it's been
That's
a bad day, and it's probably not.
It's not how
most of
things
the time.
work, because once energy has entered a room,
Yeah,
it has to be felt,
yeah,
and something will happen with that.
yeah,
I was like, I'm not like a machine. I can't get kids to write, and I'm also not interested in them just writing because they feel like they have to. I want them to write because they're inspired to say something, as opposed to, that whole thing about some people have something to say and some people have to say something. I want you to have something to say when you say it.
yeah.
I don't want you to just feel like,
Yeah.
So
It's, again, pressure.
yeah, and it's a lot of pressure on me as well. So what I'd done is I really became hateful of working in schools. And I was like, I'll never do it again because they just really, really annoy me. And the way they speak, the way teachers speak to kids. I remember I walked in once.
Quite contrived.
Oh, it's horrible. I walked in. You know how these schools are so old as well. The buildings are freezing.
Yeah.
I walked in, it's snowing. I've got a massive coat on. A teacher standing in the doorway underneath the little aircon, the heater coming down. So she's warm, scarf, gloves, massive coat. I'm trying to bustle in after the kids, and she's shouting at kids to take their. You're not allowed to wear coats in school.
Yeah. Right.
And I walk in, and she's like, "I'm gonna take mine off because that's not fair." Mm-hmm. She's like, "Oh no, you can keep yours on."
No. No.
Look at this, and now I'm gonna have to enter like a workshop with these kids, and I'm already more superior than you. That's not how I do things.
No.
So I remember one school teacher was like, "Oh, yeah, everyone has to what did they have to do?" That was it. Yeah, take your shoes off. You're not allowed to wear shoes in the drama studio. So I said, "Oh no, sir, you don't have to take your shoes off." That's what the teacher told me. I said, "First of all, it's Tyrone. I'm not sir, and if everyone's doing it, I'll do it as well because my shoes can affect the floor in the same way their shoes can." So,
yeah, I've had one of my biggest telling offs, fairly recent, maybe like 6 months ago or so, in a school because I spoke to one of the kids in the hallways, and they have this silent hallway policy. And they thought I was one of the teachers, and I was sort of, "Hey, how you doing?" And they were talking to me, these lads, and the teacher, who I didn't know I'd just come in for a day and was a guest, gave me a bollocking.
really?
And I was like, wow, okay. So it was this silent, dead feeling, and this energy was just zapped out of everybody. Been beaten out. I got a proper telling. Yeah, I think we're giving school, and sometimes they deserve a bad rep.
No. I'm getting to a good. I'm getting to a good thing.
Because there are great people, aren't there? My partner used to be a teacher for a long time, and they just go in with this want to pass on their passion, this gift that they've got, go and showcase it. But the systems and the bureaucracy and everything around it is so tight and suffocating. And some people, a lot of the teachers that I work with, do see it. They understand it now, and they're like, "No, we're gonna work within it, but do it our way." And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But the ones that are so adamant with
Rigid,
that's an energy I'm not keen on.
So I remember now. So I was like, I'm not doing it again. And then some school work came up, and I felt a bit more confident in my approach, in my career. I was like, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it my way.
Nice.
And no one is going to tell me that I can't, because it's too late now anyway, because I'll be in the school.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to pay me. So
Yeah.
it's a bit too late. So I went into school, and first question I always ask kids, "What do you know about poetry?" "Oh, Shakespeare. Oh, blah, 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 blah. What do you think?" And I remember this day in particular, and it's actually the greatest day I've ever had in a school. But I thought, "Oh, is this going to be bad?" Because the whole English department was in the room. All of the English teachers were in this room. I thought, "Why are you all here? You've got nothing else to do." So I'm like, "What's going on here? This feels weird." They're all sitting at the back. I'm like, "Okay, what do you know about poetry? What do you think?" "Boring." "Oh, okay, yeah." oh, can I say that? No, say anything you think. And everyone's, boring. I don't like the way teachers teach it. I don't like, and I was like, guys, teachers, don't be offended, by the way. Just listen to them. You guys tell me, because you're having a conversation with me. And I'm the poet, so, you're slagging off my job. But you tell me what you think, and we'll have a conversation. And they talk about how it's taught in school, and I go, I had the same issue. There is a problem with how it's taught in school, because you don't really get a chance to be creative, But today, we do. So let's just, get into it. And I said the same thing. I don't care if you don't write today. I'm not trying to make you a poet. We're just going to get creative and see what we can come up with. And everyone had so much to give, so much to say. Yeah. And a teacher came over to me at the end, and he was like, we've seen kids today. He was like, I've never heard them speak before.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, full stop. This one girl came over to me at the end, and she gave me a notepad, and she said, "Can you write down 3 ideas for poems that I can write?"
Oh, man.
I was like, and he watched her, and he was like, "That girl, she's never spoke to me."
Oh, man. Yeah.
And he was like, he was really touched by it, and they all were, but him in particular. He said, a poet came to his school when he was their age, and he was like, the energy that I had reminded him of whoever that person was, that just inspired him to, like, there's no force, and he was like, it's our job to kind of get them to do things. And he was like, but saying what you're saying, I wish we had the freedom and the allowance to, do more things like this, and that restored, one, because it was me being assertive, saying I'm going to do it in my own way, and it worked. It gave me a lot more confidence in going, I know what I'm doing.
So many other ways of doing it.
Yeah. And teachers, what teachers really need to do when there's a practitioner or a facilitator is let go of the classroom.
Yeah.
Hand it over to me. Hand it over to you.
Be curious as well. Sit back and go, oh, interesting. This is what is working with those that I can't seem to reach with the more academic route. Yeah,
because that is actually more, I think, beneficial for teachers. Don't watch what I'm doing. Look how the kids are reacting. And you're saying this person doesn't speak. And at the end of it, everyone's up performing. Yeah. So they're like, that experience alone is far more valuable than writing 10 lines.
Especially in the world that we're heading towards. The tick boxes and the being able to, here's a question, what's the answer, let's get there to the quickest route, is so far removed from what we're going toward now. We've got some knowledge of humanity in our pockets. We can get them answers very quick. Yeah. But being confident, daring to speak, thinking for yourself, they're completely different tools. Here's a poem, let's analyse it, this is what it is. That's so redundant now. Exactly. That skill's done.
And even the kids will always say, oh, the kind of poems that they read, and I do all of this talk before I perform. So I go, okay, cool. So I'll perform, and then we'll have this conversation again and see what we think. I perform, and they're like,
yeah.
No, that was sick. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot in it. Yeah. And they're excited about poetry. So show them more contemporary poetry. Yeah. that's what they want. They're begging for it. It's not that they are...
Or perform that poetry you've got in a contemporary way.
Yeah, perform it.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
bring it to life.
We don't get to perform. Yeah. Go, oh, no, you have to perform. My belief, you have to perform poetry. It has to be said out loud. Yeah. And now we're expressing it in different ways. And then... I like to talk to them about how poetry, can be interpreted in different ways. So one stimulus for the whole class, 24, 25 different poems. Look how that works. It's that simple. Yeah.
So with the business, remind me the name.
Literati Arts.
Have you pigeonholed yourself there? Do you have to keep it to literacy and so on? Do you want it to be that, or do you see it expanding out and out and out?
Well, yeah.
Going a year, right?
Yeah,
as a CIC.
Yeah, just over a year. Well, we do poetry. We've got a poetry night, but then also because we've got the care aspect, we do work. We might do like training
Cool.
for social workers. We do consultancy work, and then we have events which might be like talks about the care system. So we're able to be flexible. We've got some ideas as well of, where we can take it, what we can come up with. But yeah, poetry, I think, poetry and comedy, but poetry mainly, is the greatest art form.
Yeah. Oh, big statement.
Yeah, I believe it. It's not an opinion. I think it's a fact.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest art form because it's...
Because I want to hear.
Yeah, it's from me to you, directly. You go to see a painting, the painter's not there. The painter, but the piece could speak to you, but it's not really speaking to you. And the painter could explain things, but no, the poet says, "This is it. This is what I think. This is what I feel, and this is for you."
Could I just give you devil's advocate?
Yeah.
What about podcasts?
Oh,
Because
that's
that's
as an art form.
Yeah, I see it as an art form. I think because I've filmed a lot of people's podcasts now, and some are great. Got one mate that I film, and he just goes like Tony Robbins. He's fantastic at that. And I said, mate, that is an art. I could not do that. Hold space for 40 minutes of just going.
Yeah.
I need to put questions across and be able to sort of back and forth with it.
Yeah.
But then I've been to other people that have got this wonderful ambition and idea. I press play, you get the red light syndrome, and they don't know how to hold a conversation and ask question and listen and then have something back to say and be curious, all those things. And I think that is an art form, and I think it's kind of, they didn't respect it as that. Then when they sit down to do it, it's back to the drawing board and thinking, okay, how are we going to bring this to life?
Yeah, I think conversation is an art. And I was thinking the other day that socializing, I'm a recluse. I'm a hermit. I stay at home all the time. I only socialize if there's also a creative purpose.
Same.
And it's like...
Same.
It's not like I can't like step away from work. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be like monetary at all. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Or it doesn't have to even go on to produce something. But if there's like... we're doing something creative, but we're talking about other things. That has to, I need another purpose to socialize.
Mine's very mine's passion. You say creative, I say passion, because my best friend, we have to go and play pool now. Yeah. But I find it again, I get fixated on learning how to better myself at it, and so on. So anywhere, football, I've got all those side now, and it has to be for something other than just the hang. This is
it. Like, and I also think there's that for me. There's like the creative thing, and then there's like sport. Yeah. If we're going to play basketball, we can play basketball and talk about anything. We can do sport and talk about anything. We can go gym and talk about anything. But there's another thing driving it. And then I thought, well, the other thing though is talking. If we're going to have this kind of conversation, I could sit down on a field and have this conversation with you. I can sit down anywhere and have a real heart-to-heart, genuine conversation. As if I know the conversation's going to be quality. Yeah. And I think that's what you mean about podcasts being...
Because we're quite aware as well as this, that there is an audience and it is going to be seen. So there is an element of entertainment to provide where we could, on a park or sit down together, have those long silences, which are probably quite valuable. Yeah. But also, I feel the conversation would always be quite different because we're not thinking of how is it perceived and what is somebody going to get value from this, and so on.
About time as well.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe I just definitely through my experience of doing them for so long,
I agree, and
filming them, I'm like, oh yeah, that there's a lot of conscious activity going on in that moment. Yeah. So maybe I just throw it in at
I think I agree. I do agree with that.
I'm a big poetry lover, and I can see why. It saved me. It literally saved my life. Literally, poetry did. So, the power in it, the power of expression, piece of you on a piece of paper. I can imagine in your sessions as well, like Tupac, people just see and two and whatever. There's no right or wrong. It's just get it on the paper. I love that. It's so empowering. So, mate, we're gonna have to shoot off because nearly
What's
1
that?
hour 45.
Oh wow!
And if we'd have kept the other bit, we'd have done 2 hours.
Oh wow! Okay, we didn't even get through the top.
Oh my god! Would you come back and do this because it's an art form?
I would definitely would.
Oh, you've been fantastic.
No, thank you.
If you were doing, you said you did a podcast yourself.
Yeah.
What would you do a podcast on, and what were you doing a podcast on? Because you're so podcastable. There's so much to learn.
I think I wanted to be able to talk. I think that was the biggest thing. I'd watch and listen to podcasts a lot and go, you guys can just talk. You've got opinions, and you're able to elaborate and present something with your opinion quickly, it feels like, as well. So I know I go through week to week and have all these thoughts about, a bit about sport, a bit about music, and I go
to do sport as well. Damn you kids.
It's always the kids. So I had all these ideas, and I thought, you tweet things, and I hated tweeting. And
Xing.
It's
ridiculous.
And I'm not good at social media because I prefer things which are long form. And at that point, when I was doing the podcast, it was only 140 characters. I don't think we even had threads at that point. It was a few years ago. And I thought, I can't really say. And then I say it. And who am I saying it to? It's just, I'm not saying it. I'm just typing it. So it's always silent. And it doesn't echo. It doesn't bounce off anything. It just kind of gets lost in whatever. So I thought, if I create a podcast and I'm able to think about Game 4 of the NBA Finals and have an opinion, I can talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'll just let myself go. And because I never had a guest, it was just me just talking and talking and talking. And I go, oh yeah, and that, about this thing in the news, or it was just about all the things which are like I found interesting.
Kind of a free write though.
Yeah.
Really true insight of your mind. I bet you hit a certain point where the truth is really, you've probably got a truth, but eventually like the truth comes.
And again, planning. I would just write down like a note about the topics. So it would just be LeBron James angry. And that was it. I'll go, oh yeah, LeBron James, and that will. I didn't want it to be scripted. I didn't want there to be too much. It would just be a bullet point. This is the topic. Few words. Let's see where it goes. Yeah. And I think I recorded each episode was on average about like an hour and 20, an hour and 40 minutes of just me just.
Where can I watch that?
What happened is I realized, because it was all on SoundCloud. I had 63 episodes. The last episode was the week after Stormzy headlined Glastonbury, so it was years ago. And I had 63 episodes. It was one a week for just over a year. And obviously, I think on not Spotify, on SoundCloud, you get like a free allowance of hours. I think it might have been like 5 or 10 hours for free. Yeah. And then you have to pay $12.99 a month for anything.
Clever, aren't they?
Yeah. So when I encountered that, I was like, oh, crap. Okay, this is serious. I'll pay it because I'm going to keep doing it. I paid it. And then I stopped recording. And
stop paying.
No, I kept paying for about 7-8 months.
Yeah. A
bit longer, maybe just over a year. And I was, cleaning up my finances once. I was like, why am I paying £13 a month to... oh yeah, SoundCloud, it was that. So I cancelled it, thinking it will still store. So I paid for that.
Gets.
And it was earlier on this year. I went back and I was like, I need to log into Spotify and listen to my episodes or whatever.
Nah.
They were all gone.
Yeah.
They had one.
Oh,
And I just thought, I may as well just
Oh,
delete the
mate.
whole thing
but and you've not got the files, the original files to them, however you recorded
on
them.
my old laptop, which broke.
We've done that. I've
Yeah.
been there, man.
So
that was a teary day for me.
yeah, old laptop. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're somewhere, but yeah, I should have
mate.
external hard drive them.
We're gonna get you down here lots for sessions, and we're gonna have
nice
to
one.
record. We're gonna pick a topic and just do what you
Yeah,
did,
let's do it.
freeball it. Yeah, because next one's sport. Yeah,
Yeah,
Is
sport.
that,
Yeah,
you've seen it on here. He's
Sport.
shaking my hand for it.
sport. I've
Sport.
got a lot to say about sport.
Oh, mate, I'm excited, honestly. But we've got 15 minutes until they're probably here. They're all loitering.
Yeah,
I know they are. I can hear them. I can feel their energy.
Let's
So,
go.
Tyrone, I said it right? Good?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Tyrone.
I'm sorry for being so picky at that. I'm just trying to
happy
get it.
because, yeah, people just slaughter my name all
I
the
guess
time.
it ties that, and I've got a
Yeah.
mate Tyrone. So,
yeah, people call me Tyrone all the time.
but Tyrone, wicked. Where can people, if they want to reach out to you, they want to check anything that you have got out there, where can they access that?
T Haughton Poetry. That's on Google. That's on Instagram.
You sounded like me nan then.
Yeah.
On the Google.
on the Google. Yahoo me. No, yeah, T Haughton Poetry. So THAUGHTON Poetry. That's where you'll keep up to date with things.
Told you they're here.
Yeah, they're here.
Give us 2 secs. Say it, Flo.
Yeah.
What a way to end a podcast. I
all
love it.
online. Yeah, on my website, thorntonpoetry.com.
Dude,
Yeah.
and like I say, everything happens for a reason. And
Definitely.
Logic messing us up, it curated and made a better podcast, I'm sure,
Yeah.
than the first one, even though we're on a pretty good trajectory.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it again, though. I really enjoyed this.
It's been amazing.
And I wanted to say, I was thinking in the week, and I wanted to say, so it's caught on camera and it's recorded. I was thinking back to when I met you. I don't think I've ever met a more positive person than you.
Oh, man.
And I remember feeling that and going, this guy, because you said I was a great guy back then. I wasn't. I didn't feel like a great guy.
Really?
No, I've definitely developed over the years. I was very defensive and standoffish at that time. So you saying that, I'm like, oh no.
Interesting.
Because you were so positive. And positive people used to make me feel like, why are you so positive?
Yeah, I get you.
Because I was so defensive, you know?
I just have a moment of... It was all really new to me as well. And feeling on a frequency with you. Maybe it's the age thing, wherever we're at. And I remember conversation just being like, this is a good place to... And you're quite real as well. I think you've probably always been real. And those sort of people give me a good feeling. Because in every scene, there's a lot of fakery, there's a lot of contrived, and these voices. And just wherever you were at that moment was where you were at. And I got a true feeling of that. So that's important in people. And I felt that very much.
No, thank you.
I'll do my bit. It's been awesome, man. And you got me quite emotional there. I needed that.
Thank you.
Not always this positive. I've got 2 kids, and the other day was a mind boggler.
Yeah.
They do that. And that's another episode.
Yeah, I've got 2
Dude,
kids as well.
a proper mate here. I'm buzzing.
Yeah, let's do
Told
it.
you I was. Right, guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I'm going to leave you on this. I always do, and I always will. You've just got to be nice to one another. You're a beautiful set of buggers. Be nice. One love.